General Greene, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for the reschedule. Been traveling a lot, and I wanted to make sure I had adequate time to talk to you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you're in New York, is that correct, or?
No, I'm in South Carolina.
Oh, I got you. I hear. Yeah. Okay, I can hear that in your voice.
New York time, I guess, Eastern. Yeah.
New York. That's what I saw. Okay, that's why I was thinking that.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Well, great. Well, how can I help you? Where would you like to start?
Well, I don't even know. I'm kind of looking at all these things, trying to take some notes, and just trying to figure out. I looked at your island project. I wanted information on that.
Okay.
I know you're going into phase 2. And I also have been listening to just really short. I just joined the AMTV.
Sure. The club.
That's really all I've done, and just kind of listened. Listening on X a little bit now, but I'm just trying to understand. I've been buying some of the picks that you recommended, like Zcash. I bought it 152, and I already sold it. I probably shouldn't have, because it's up to date. I sold it 229 because I thought that was good profit.
Hey, never be ashamed to take a profit. That's awesome.
Okay, I bought the RSR, and I bought some Litecoin.
Awesome.
And Trump, I got a little Trump. But anyway, now I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing and how your other program works, and maybe, I don't know if you help with portfolio. I think I saw somewhere you might do that at some point.
Sure. Yeah, well, okay. Well, sounds great. So, we'll start with all the above, and obviously I have to say I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll give you my greatest 1000x opinion. And so the club is our educational platform. I've been teaching Bitcoin Rich. Now islandprojectclub.com is our new version of that, our upgraded version. So all of our educational material, any new 1000x picks, like Litecoin is my top 1000x pick, so is RSR right now, and then also just covering the fundamentals and basics of blockchain and crypto and all that good stuff. The Island Project, as you've been probably tuned into, how long have you been following me? Has it been a short period of time, or?
Yeah, really short, probably 3 weeks or something.
Okay, great. And where did you first find us? On what platform?
Hi, Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've noticed.
Instagram. You might be on Instagram, but anyway, you started popping up.
Yeah.
And I started watching the videos.
Well, great. Well, no, I've noticed our subscribership has grown quite a bit on Facebook, so that's why I was asking to see how you heard of us. But so the Island Project is the first in the world true fractional ownership portfolio. So we just successfully completed our founders round, our $33.5 million fundraise, and we have 400 plus investors from around the world in over 12 different countries. And so they all own a diversified part of our collection of homes. I call them the 13 colonies. So we own properties basically almost on every single Hawaiian island. Maui, Oahu, Big Island, Hawaii, Mauna Kea. We also bought an amazing ski lodge property in Park City, Utah.
City. Saw that.
Yeah, so we're diversified. We have no bank debt, which is a key point. That's very unique and very rare, because I believe we're in a credit crisis event right now. We're going to have another bad situation like 2008-09.
Which is what I wanted to ask you about that, because like real estate, yours is without debt. We have real estate with debt. And so I just wondered like what you would recommend on that too, because you're saying like get out of the banks. We don't have a lot of cash in the banks, but we do have businesses that have to have cash in there to operate on. I guess I'm just wondering, there's so many things I'm wondering. With the bank runs, like it's hard to get your money out of a bank for one. I did get some cash out, and I do have some cash out, but then when you get your cash out, getting it back to getting into decentralized or whatever, getting it over from Coinbase over, into your bank to Coinbase so you can use it over in crypto, that can be hard. And if the banks are gone, how do we get our money out of Coinbase? You know what I mean? Like if that's my on-ramp and off-ramp, how do I get it out if the banks are gone?
Yeah, so I've always recommended credit unions. Local credit unions have always been best in my experience with crypto. versus the
Okay.
big banks. However, things are mainstreaming, so all the big banks will be adopting, crypto and blockchain and all that kind of stuff moving forward. But, the big thing is to own real assets. So I think
Yes.
now people are starting to realize, and I've been saying this for years, that the only thing that's in a bubble is the US dollar. And because of all the inflation, all of these other assets are rising in comparison to it. So real estate, gold, silver, crypto, anything that's physical is being offset essentially by the dollar's collapse. Primary thing I'm encouraging people is to get out of the banks. And then here you have to think about this too, the fact that all this money's coming out of the banks and people are buying Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP, Ethereum, Zcash, like you mentioned, etc.
Yeah.
That's all that liquidity is coming out of the traditional modern or old financial system and moving into the modern one. So there's a real liquidity shortage at U.S. financial institutions. So I think that's what we're starting to see in the U.S. and they're worried in Europe. Like Jamie Dimon just came out and said that they've taken some losses, like loan losses that they've underwritten, like in the auto industry. It looks like is the first thing to crack. And so long story short is you want your money out of the banks and assets that are going to keep up with inflation, arguably hyperinflation.
If you have real estate debt, is that a safe one to have, or would that be one you need to go ahead? Because we could sell one property and probably get most of our debt gone on the other 3 or so properties that we have.
It's much better to be, it's much better to be out of dollars, right? And if it's in a desirable location, if it's, I think that's obviously better than being in dollars, but I would look at like cash flow potential too. If there is some kind of credit event or credit crisis or people start tightening their belts, those will be the first properties, especially if you can't rent them, that where you're losing money.
Yeah.
But I would be diversified. I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Like a lot of people are gold maximalists, it's just gold, or they're real estate maximalists, it's just real estate, or they're just Bitcoin or crypto. I actually think you should own all three. I don't think it's a competition. I think you just own all of them and participate in all of it. So, with your crypto, or have you been moving pretty aggressively into that, or what is your situation?
I've been learning for the past 2 years through this school, but I'm a slow learner, obviously.
So here, let me tell you that you're not a slow learner. You're actually way ahead of the curve. Believe me, you're doing great. But the fact that you own crypto and at all at this point, but think of Bitcoin too and other cryptos as a bank. People can borrow against their Bitcoin today. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So just like a house can be borrowed against, Bitcoin can be borrowed against. Coinbase will lend you up to 50% loan to value on your Bitcoin. So think about that. Once people realize that Bitcoin is a bank and you can actually borrow against it and it's deflationary and fixed in supply, it becomes even more valuable. And then it's also unconfiscatable. So as you probably learned at school, if you private wallet your crypto, which I encourage people to do with their long-term assets, no one can touch them. I mean, essentially it's portable, highly liquid. You can go anywhere in the world, and that's what the advantages are compared to like gold or silver or real estate. You can't really move an apartment building or a really beautiful property, but you can Bitcoin, which is, and feel free to ask a question at any moment, but this is pretty much what we've done with island projects. So we married the best of real estate that everyone understands, great cash flow producing properties and vacation zones, beach, oceanfront, people normally couldn't afford. Average home is like 5-7 million plus. Same with our condos. So they all make money, and then all of our investors participate in any upside, any capital gains on a debt-free asset. So there's very little risk. I have to say there's some, but I mean, there's no debt. And so they get all the cash flows, all the capital gains, they're diversified. And then in addition to that, they can live their investment. So you can actually enjoy properties based on tiers. And so our first round, which was 33.5 million, that's closed. That was really like our democratized founders launch. Now we have deck 2, also our founders, which is a $50 million fundraise with a 200K minimum. And that's all leading up into our tokenization event next year, first quarter 2026. So we're going to be truly Papa John, all of our investors, Deck 1 and Deck 2, the first people in the world to have already successfully acquired the physical proof of concept, cash flow producing assets by themselves are worth $100 million plus, just growing and appreciating over time. The original founders round over the next 5-10 years. But we're also tokenizing it. So our token, which represents our actual physical assets that are valuable, will trade just like Zcash does, right? On Coinbase, on Gemini, on decentralized exchanges, the list goes on. And that's why we believe.
So RWA, what will it be called?
Well, I haven't released all the details yet, but it'll be Island Project, coin, essentially.
Yeah.
So really, Deck 2 is more reserved for accredited investors, and there's only going to be about 100 investors versus 400 in the first one. And but who knows if your crypto keeps going the right direction?
World Liberty Fi, I bought 100,000 of that. Back when it was like 5 cents, I got accredited and bought that. Do you think it's going to go up? I'm kind of keep waiting. I'm like hoping, and then I bought the RSR that you told me. I got 1.7 million RSR.
Awesome. Well, I'm very bullish RSR. That's my really the top pick along with Litecoin, because I just understand what they do. And Reserve Rights has a real product called R tokens, and guess what you can do in it? Tokenize real world assets. Like the Island Project, you can tokenize stocks. It's basically like the BlackRock in the digital form, but the good guys, like you can build ETFs around it. You could have a diversified R token of like gold, real estate, other assets, cryptos. And it's backed and founded by two really pretty awesome people, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel. They typically know what they're doing. They're lead founders, lead investors. And so they're doing something spectacular, and it's kind of a gem where a lot of people have never heard of it. They don't understand it. It's only trading at a like $400 million market cap, which is nothing. So if you think about it going to like minimum $100 billion, you can just calculate how many X's. And that's a minimum. I actually think it could 1,000X. And so that's
right now it's just a point. Am I right at 0.006? Is that the one I'm looking at?
Yeah, so you're looking at Reserve Rights token at 0.006 roughly, and so here's a good educational point. There's two chains. So it's listed on Coinbase now, something I predicted. You can buy it there, super easy. You can use Coinbase Advance, for example, and just set a limit order. So you get the target.
I already bought it.
Yeah, you already bought it. And
I
so
bought it on Uniswap probably.
Cool. Okay, so if you bought it on Uniswap, you probably use Coinbase Wallet, and so you own the RSR Ethereum chain. Well, cool. Yeah, so you're dialed in there, and ask any questions. But the other point I would make too is that you just want to keep dollar cost averaging, but also maintain a strict portfolio allocation. So like we go over at school, and I've said the same thing for like almost 15 years. Now 16.
I did look at it. You said 60 to 70% Bitcoin. I'm nowhere near that on my assets. But yeah, I did look at your allocations, and I was like, wow, I don't know if I can get to 60-70%. But maybe. So
what you could do is basically build into the future. Start dollar cost averaging now every month or so, and build your more of a percentage into Bitcoin. Or, that way you're rounding things out and you're not selling your existing positions. You can allow that to ride. And, I always tell people have about 10% Ethereum, because I think Ethereum will 2 to 3X in the short term. And in addition, you own that. And then in addition to that, you can stake it. So you can own about 3%. Are you doing that?
I am not staking it right now.
Coinbase is very easy to stake, but you can also stake it in other wallets. And essentially, the advantage of that is you're yielding 3% while you probably triple your money in the next 12 to 18 months.
On ETH,
And then in addition to that, you've got some kind of yield. The only disadvantage is that if you ever want to sell your Ethereum position, you have to unstake it, which could take a couple days to a week before it's liquid to sell. But as long as you're holding this stuff, the name of the game is just hodling, as we call it, the portfolio over time, just like the properties you own. If you hold them, I mean, my grandfather bought his first house in Long Beach for like 50K, and it's worth like 3 million now.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I mean, that's in one generation. So
Right.
if we just hold and buy the right assets, you're going to do really well. And then also compare crypto's market cap, like even to gold. You know, gold is 30 trillion by itself, which is pretty incredible. And the whole crypto market's like less than 4 trillion. So what has more room to grow? Even if it just competes with gold, you know, we're talking a 2 to 5x across the industry.
Yeah.
Big moves, which in these positions are 100 to 1,000x potentially.
Okay. So that's where to put your money into these other assets. Are you concerned about like silver? I know silver's going to do great with 85 to 1 or something, but you think there's just as much, if not more, upside to say Bitcoin?
Yes, I believe there's more upside to Bitcoin and crypto in general, but I would say on a comparative note, with gold's rise, which I've been expecting 5,000 to 10,000 plus an ounce, and I've said that for years, silver will outperform gold, though, in my opinion, because if we adjust silver for inflation alone, even though it's at an all-time high above $50, if we adjust its real necessary return just to equalize with inflation, it should punch out to about $180 to $200 per ounce. So that's actually where I think silver's going. But again, I'm not a maximalist like some of these guys just say one thing. I think you should own gold, silver. I think you should own cash flow producing real estate in the best locations in the world. That's key, not just like a regular house, like in the best areas, which is what we do fractionally in properties people normally couldn't touch or afford because these companies like BlackRock don't want you to own it. Honestly, they don't want you to have access to oceanfront at 10 million.
No. So if you got into like a debt too, and you said then you get capital gains, you pay capital gains?
Well, so let's say you had $200,000, 200 units, which is the minimum. We have investors all the way to 1 to 2 million plus with us. As that property portfolio appreciates, the diversified holdings, you know, whatever the appraised value is in the future, that's how much your pro rata 200 shares is worth. And so if your 200K appreciates to 500K, you've earned a $300,000 capital gain on the units fractionally, just like a stock if you owned Apple computers. But here's where it gets even more incredible, is that we're going to leave up to God. I can't predict the future. You're going to have to say not investment advice. But you've seen like meme tokens go up 100x, 1,000x. Fart coin trades at $1 billion plus or somewhere near there, like, which is like mind blowing. And they don't do anything. It doesn't do anything. There's not a technology. It doesn't own an asset. It has no cash flows. You can't use it. Like my investors use their actual properties in these vacation areas that are daily rentals. But if the tokenization event, once we do that, that's a separate event. So you're going to get an equivalent 200 tokens. Okay, so $200,000 worth of the tokens. What is that worth? So if you just punched in your head, let's say the 200,000 goes 30x, which wouldn't be out of the question.
Right.
You've just had a monstrous return.
Right,
and
because you own 200 of the tokens.
If you own 200 of the tokens. So basically what I've done is, just like when Facebook did an IPO in the early days, and the board and Mark Zuckerberg are in on it, they basically have call options on equity. They're in at zero. And so what we've done, I just democratized it to the world, where you have to see our terms and disclaimers, and you have to be an accredited investor, and we're a private placement, so like you have to know us and be in my internal book, like a customer at the club, et cetera. I have to say that. But allows you to participate in essentially an equity event you never could before in world history. And that's really what Bitcoin was too, because people were mining Bitcoin in the early days almost for free, earning Bitcoin in the ethersphere that turned out to be worth, you know, millions and millions of dollars. So it's like an IPO, but in the crypto space, and we're the first to marry the best-in-class trophy asset real estate in the world, islandproject.com, with an actual token that will also have value. And then our vision's huge, because I'm a big visionary and big thinker, but we're going to have flagships worldwide. So just like we already have flagship 1, Deck 2's flagship 2, And then we have international expansion, and all of this is going to work decentralized around the world. We have investors in Australia, I have investors in Tokyo, I have investors in Bali, I have investors in Sweden. I have mostly North American, Canadian investors. That's probably about 70%. And then another key bullet point, if you speak with my father, always encourage you to talk to him, is that about 50 to 60% of our assets are in retirement accounts. So they're either rollovers, IRA rollovers, other retirement accounts that have come over to be self-directed. So instead of having no say, like being in an ETF or an index fund, which will probably blow up, and then not getting any use or entertainment in your life, because I believe, why just own a stock or something if you can actually own a direct piece of real estate like you do with your current properties, enjoy them, and travel anywhere you want. And then the other big thing too is just the fact that we're a common ethos, common visioned community, God first, faith first, and we all believe in mostly a lot of similar themes, and we're trying to do really great work, and we're really the resistance. I'm a follower of Christ and Jesus, and I tell everybody, unabashed Christian. Is that what you were going to say as well, or?
Yeah, we are too. We are Christians.
Well, God bless you. So we're fighting the good fight too. That's why we call it the digital Noah's Ark. So, the community is our strength, is what I'm telling you. That every single investor, even just subscribers that just follow, I mean, we're all cheering each other on, and that's a powerful network that I don't think you get if you bought like some boring ass REIT or something like that, or a stock.
So Deck 2 will come out. Investors are coming in now. Is that what they're doing?
So we're taking RSVPs. So I encourage you to reach out to Papa John, my dad, at 808-442-2934. And you can text him as well to schedule appointments. So we're taking reservations. And in about a week or two, it's going to go live. And so by doing that and also being a member of the club at school, you'll get the early bird advantage to participate in that. Okay, and so basically you would be a part of it. Eventually you would get the tokens whenever it goes live, which how long before it's actually built, and the places, and where are the places? I guess Papa would tell me all that. Yeah, so we already own properties across all the island, which Deck 2 will also have access to for stays. So, for example, even at $200K, you'll receive either discounted rates on your stay. So instead of staying at the Four Seasons, getting nothing back in return, you can save up to 30, 40% daily or nightly, right, on your stay at your actual investment. And then keep in mind that anything that's coming in, members are staying at properties like right now, that only goes into the portfolio and builds equity. So you're really just paying yourself. So we already own, those portfolio of properties. Deck 2 is going to focus on about 2 to 3 large estate homes, and they're all going to be either ocean or beachfront. That daily cash flow, and so large estate, kind of entertainment paradise properties that people normally couldn't afford individually. Probably about still in Hawaii. In 2 or 3 in Hawaii. 2 to 3 in Hawaii, and so that's what we're currently working on now in active negotiations, and then that'll also include 5+ different condominiums that are high cash flow producing assets, again in vacation zones. So that's what Deck 2 is going to look like. And so Deck 2 people that invested would own a portion of those 2 to 3 homes plus the 5 condos. Correct. Yeah, you would own that distinct portfolio of Deck 2, and you would own a fractional piece of that. Right. And you don't own anything in the Deck 1. You can just use it if you would like to go stay there. Correct. You wouldn't own the Deck 1 portfolio. You would own Deck 2 exclusively. But the cool thing is the other portfolios work with each other. So if you wanted to use one of the Deck 1 homes or condos, you still can. And so that's a huge advantage for every member. Okay.
And deck one is a good bit larger, is that true?
Deck one. So Deck one was our $33.5 million, very democratized 30K minimum fundraise, private placement. Deck two is an accredited offering, and it's 50 million. So Deck two is actually going to be a larger offering.
And that's the only two you have right now. You have deck one and you have deck two.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not really that far into it, but you're going to continue probably adding these flagships as you can.
The sky is the limit, and and 1000X. And
Awesome.
and keep in mind that these are the only founders rounds that will participate in our token launch at the ground floor. So once we go public and we've launched our token, that's going to be trading, I think, at a multi-billion-dollar valuation. I'll leave it up to God, whatever that is. But again, Fartcoin trades at $1 billion, so I'm confident we'll at least be trading in the RWA space 5 to 10 billion, which is where RWA assets currently are.
I guess I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. When people buy those tokens now, they'll be actually investing in the literal asset. And they will know that, like when they buy it, they'll understand it's a real world asset that they're actually buying.
All of our investors from Deck 1 to Deck 2 will receive that token roadmap and be able to see how we've structured that event. But it's going to be big, and we're very, very excited and honestly just thankful to God and super blessed that He's blessed us to do that, and as the fiduciaries and stewards essentially of the Ark. So we're very very thankful and have tremendous gratitude.
Thank you. I had a lot of questions, more than I knew, but
yeah, well, God bless you. I super appreciate you tuning in and being a part of what we've built. Once we go live with Deck 2, just reach out to my father. Greene, Vice President. Give him a call. Dad, your number.
808-442-2934. Aloha.
Islandproject.com. Fill out a membership application today. Get rolling with us, the good guys, the winners. Get out of cash. It's trash. Go 1000X. Those are freaking X! The 1000X, an RSVP for Deck 2. Get in today. Call or text Papa John at 808-442-2934. This is your last chance to get in at the digital Noah's Ark. 1000 freaking X! 1000 freaking X, baby!